All right. Doing this evening. You know how we do it. Hey, I know I've been gone for a while, but a brother's been on a learning journey. I always want to come and bring you information and content that's going to help you improve. And you know how we start off. What's going on, Brother Jay, Cousin Jay? Today we're listening to a little Prince, Lady Cab Driver. And just disclaimer, don't own the rights to this music. It is for entertainment purposes only. But if you're not a Prince fan, oh well, you should be, because his royal badness, we miss him dearly. But some of the best music you could ever come across, and you heard it here, not first, but you heard it here. But as promised, we're going to be talking about how to create your one sentence. Wait a minute, let me turn this down a little bit, because we're going to keep the groove going. We ain't going to turn it all the way down. Good evening, cousin. Good evening. But as promised, we're going to talk about how to create your one sentence destiny plan. Now, this is really going to apply if you're in business, but in general, it talks about, we all want to know what our purpose is. What are we doing, the thing that we should be doing? Are we doing things that will fulfill us? What's going on, Brother Randy? Appreciate you coming on today. But, the thing is, you want to have your life destiny to be congruent with your strengths. In society, a lot of times the opposite is done, and we all know that the education system has failed a lot of people, because, the narrative, you're taught to go to school, graduate, go to college, get your degree, work. And a lot of times people are working jobs that they actually hate, or they're doing something that they're not truly suited for. They've been coerced, or they've been maneuvered or manipulated into going down these paths. Because in the past, you didn't have as many options as we do now. You say 100 years ago, if your father was a carpenter, you were a carpenter. If your father was a blacksmith, you were a blacksmith. So your destiny was already planned out, but that may not have been your strengths. And I'm going to give you an example of someone who they have a great strength. And I'm talking about Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But if some of you remember, he thought he was so good that he decided he was going to play baseball. And as great an athlete as he was, he couldn't even get past the minor leagues, and not even thinking about going and playing Major League ball. But he thought, because that brings me to my point, you need to figure out that one thing that you're good at, your strength. Now, another example is a guy called Jack Welch. You may have heard of him, you may not have. He was the CEO of General Electric. And when he came on board, General Electric was this huge company, but they had a lot of different divisions. They were doing stuff in real estate. They were doing all kinds of things. And his philosophy was, we need to be number one or number two. So he started selling off these divisions, and his methodology was, can we be number one or number two in this area? And if the answer was no, he started selling those divisions off. And he after the sale of all these things, he had something like $100 million. And then he took that and pumped it back into the company and made General Electric the powerhouse that it was. But because see here, my point is, you can't be good at a lot of things and end up being great. What you want to achieve is, you want to come and be in the top 5%, whatever that business is. We're mainly talking about business today. But if you can't be in the top 5%, then maybe that's not one of your strengths. So, you got to think about that. If you're not the top 5% and the 7 million people in the world and what you're doing, well, maybe that's not what you need to be doing. So you pick one or maybe two at the most, and you want to master those. Because when you do that, you can be remembered and you can have an impact in that one thing. So you need to be good at one thing. So how do you identify that thing? Now, so another show or another example I want to talk about is like American Idol. There's two reasons why we watch American Idol. We watch American Idol for the really exceptional people, and then we want to watch the really sucky people. That's the only two reasons. The people that are in the middle, and they're not significant. They're not going to move up, and you may not even remember them. But so you don't want to be disillusioned, because these people that have come on American Idol, we've all seen some of these people. They thought they could sing, and they sucked really bad. And of course, Simon was one of the people that he didn't have no problems telling people, "Hey, you're no good at this. You need to go find something else." So what you want to do, and what we're going to try to do, is I'm going to show you how to find your signature strengths so that you can learn how to create that one sentence destiny plan that will propel you towards the greatness that you deserve to have in life. So what it is, you have to visualize, and I wrote a diagram down, but I'm not going to put it up so you can see it. But you got 4 circles, and all 4 of these circles intersect. So the very first circle is your upbringing. What kind of life did you have? What kind of influences you had growing up? Because that stirs your subconscious, and your subconscious mind creates part of what your signature strengths are going to be. And then the second circle is what we call stranger feedback. And what stranger feedback is, people that don't know you, they don't have a vested interest in, "Hey, Robin, appreciate you coming on." What stranger feedback does for you is, when you get compliments, like if you can sing, some of you may know this, may not know this. I can sing a little bit, but I'm not in the top 5%. I'm not a Luther Vandross or a Mariah Carey, but I do get compliments on it. But it's not even something that I'm passionate about. I just enjoy singing, but I don't want to make a living at it. So I know that that's not one of my signature strengths. But that stranger feedback will also help form and help you decide and determine what your signature strength is. The next circle on the bottom half is what have you, and this really applies to people like you're over 18, or like in my age group, 40s and 50s, and you what have you been doing for the last 10 years? What's going on, brother Orlando? Appreciate you coming on. So what have you been doing for the last 10 years? And that's what we also can call the dark years, because you're toiling away and you're perfecting your skills in something. An example that I got from this training that I was watching, my mentor, he talked about a guy who he met at a conference or something, and he said he always wanted to be in baseball. He wanted to play baseball, but he was working in sales. So he asked me, he said, "Well, what are you selling?" And he worked at Nordstrom's. He said, "Well, maybe you need to get into selling baseball equipment and all that kind of stuff. Since you're passionate about it, you can take that 10 years that you've been working in sales and put it into your passion for baseball, and that might propel you to that top 5%. And the last thing is, what can you talk about effortlessly on the weekends with your friends? Do you have subjects that you're passionate about that you can talk about, and it's not a problem? It's not a stretch for you. Like if you were political and you like to talk about politics, or maybe politics is something that you need to move into, or if it's sports or whatever. Now, of course, with sports, that's different, because if you don't have the talent, you can be passionate all you want. Because like when I was coming up, I wanted to be a basketball player, but that goes back to that upbringing. People used to tell me, "Well, you're too short. You're not going to be able to succeed at that." And then years later, we start seeing people like Spud Webb and Muggsy Bogues, who I think Spud Webb was an inch shorter than me, and Muggsy Bogues was a couple of inches shorter than me, and they went on to become professional basketball players. But they knew what their core strength was, and they pursued it. And they probably got some feedback that helped propel them into that. And then, that 10 years that they toiled at what they were doing until they finally got where they wanted to be. Because you need to be able to talk about some of your strengths. So like I said, those 10 dark years are really important, because that's where you are honing your skills, and you can merge those skills into your signature strength. And even if you hate it at the time, don't discount what you're doing right now, because I got a friend who has worked a job for 20 plus years, and he's excellent at it, and his organizational skills are great, and he's a great manager. So those skills can translate into the next transition into his life, taking him where he wants to go. And especially us as entrepreneurs, that's something. So I'm not going to be on here too much longer. I've been talking for about 10 minutes. Now, your assignment is to think about those 4 circles, your upbringing, what your subconscious. Go back and think about those things. Next, go back and think about those stranger feedback, those compliments, and what you got complimented growing up on. And then think about, like you say, when you're in our age group, in your 40s and 50s, what have you been doing for the last 10 years? And don't discount what that is, because even if you don't love what you were doing, you may have become proficient in it, and it may help you to translate those skills into your signature strength, whatever that is. And also, that last thing is, think about what you can talk about effortlessly when you're not at work, when you're at home with your friends, and you're hanging out and having a good time. These are all indicators to help you find your signature strength, which is eventually going to help you to write your one sentence destiny plan. So I know what you're probably wondering is, okay, Joe, what is JL? What is your signature one word destiny plan signature? I can't talk right. What is it? What is my one sentence destiny plan? Because you got to keep it simple. Because here's the thing: this sentence can't be too long. It has to be no more than 12 to 20 words. If you have to use more than that, you might end up confusing people. And think about, if you say this to somebody, it needs to be so simple that a 6-year-old could understand it, or my 85-year-old mother could understand what that destiny plan is. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you what my one sentence destiny plan is. It is to, let me stop that. We can't go with pheromones. Okay, there you go. Work like I want you to. My one sentence destiny plan is to create a business that leaves a beneficial footprint on society by helping other businesses prosper and grow. It's pretty simple, right? So that defines what I want to do, because the core of who I am, as I've been growing up, I've always loved helping people. Lots of the jobs that I had, I worked in sales for a long time, and I was passionate about what I was selling. I was a personal trainer, so I was passionate about helping people lose weight and get fit. I worked in the mortgage business for several years. I loved helping people consolidate their bills. I loved helping people become new homeowners. So the core of all of that was helping people. I have a strong desire to help people live better, have more, do more. And that's one of the reasons why I do this. And before I forget, if you're watching this live or if you're watching on the replay, chime in the comments. Let me know where you're coming in from. If you're watching on the replay, put hashtag replay. I try to read all comments, good, bad, or indifferent. But again, this is what will help you create that one sentence destiny plan. And it's essential if you're an entrepreneur, because you can become diluted and you can get so distracted that you're not even operating in what's your signature strength, or what your purpose is, what your destiny is. Because I believe, not getting too spiritual, that we're all created for a specific purpose. The Most High has created us to do something significant. And a lot of times we end up living a life of mediocrity because we don't figure that thing out. And like I said, the school system doesn't foster that kind of thought. That what they want you to do is memorize a bunch of figures and facts. And then you go to college. And what amazes me is that people go to college and they go for 4 years, and sometimes they end up in a career that they never really wanted, but somebody told them, all right, yeah, my man Jay is from Chicago. Jay, I got family in Chicago. So when I do come up there to visit my people, me and you, we're going to definitely hang out. That's for sure. But let me say this. I'm not coming in the winter, and I'm not coming in the summer, because I hear y'all got brutal winters and the summers can be just as brutal. But maybe in the spring or the fall, we're gonna hook up and hang out and have some good times. But I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you have gotten a little bit out of this. I hope it's brought a little value into your life, because that's my sincere desire is I want to help you. So remember my new motto: if you want something that you've never had, you have to become someone you've never been. All right, my boy Randy live stream is very good. The music was distracting. Oh. Well, thank you for that critique. But that's the way we start. Next time I will turn the music off a little bit because I know it was Prince, so it was supposed to be distracting. But that's how I start things out. All right, guys, I will be back on Monday. Mondays is Mo Money Monday. We're going to be talking about something that's going to help you generate some income or help you get more clients or help you get more customers. It'll all be about some money-making type things, whether it's traffic or conversions or any of those kinds of things. If you know what I'm talking about, if you don't, come and join us and learn about this stuff, because the best thing about today's world and the internet and technology, you can really create a great lifestyle, and using the power of the internet can propel you from here to here in no time. And that's what we're all here to do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working a job. I'm not against it, but true wealth is created when you work for yourself, because when you work for somebody, they got control over you. They tell you how much when you come to work, when you take a break, when you take a vacation. The most important thing is they're going to tell you how much you get paid, and it's never enough. Because I know most people, if you ask them, hey, would you like to get a raise? Oh, yeah. All right, I'm not going to ramble and go on a tangent on that, but catch me on Monday. We'll be Monday at 7 o'clock. Love, peace, and hair grease.